Sifu,
Yes. There
good
you
to
go.
meet you again.
Yes.
All right, let's have a drink of water, guys, because that was the episode that I was hoping for a long time to film because it's because of this person that I was able to take the lessons he gave me and apply it to life. Not just martial arts, not just relationships, not just entrepreneurship, but life overall. And this person is very special. I mean, it's been 3 years, Sifu Samuel Gagnon, for those who don't know, that I haven't been in the school. I've been focusing on my stuff, trying to create a brand, trying to, change life myself and get life experience. And now I feel like it's a good time to reconnect. As you guys know, I'm about to leave to Asia and experience the other part of life, the third world country life. And it's important that we reconnect after 3 years to see where are we at now, what the world has become, and why martial arts, especially old school style of martial arts, is still necessary in this world. So, Sifu, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
That's amazing. So, I would say let's give some context for the viewers who never seen Sifu before, and for the Sifu students who never seen me before, like how we've met and what kind of history do we have. So, for those who don't know, Samuel was one of the coaches years ago. Since then, I've gone through police foundations in Ottawa, Ontario, the program. Then I went to entrepreneurship, then a bit more fighting just to grow the brand. Then I got into public speaking, and now preparing to move across the world to make more moves happen. So, Sifu, when I first reached back out after all these years, one thing that struck with me was how little your core philosophy had changed despite how much the world has changed. So, my question is when I left the gym and went down all these different paths that you've been most likely following as well, what was your honest first impression
Of you?
of me doing all that stuff? Yes.
Didn't understand everything at first. In martial arts, or the relationship we have before was really like instructor to student. So we was in a routine that was really sharp. It was also post COVID, so everybody experienced different mental states and stuff. So the thing I saw, it was just surprising because you were kind of a quiet student. You were not like all over the place. So exposing yourself on social media and stuff like that, it was a bit of a surprise to me. Also, you left to become a policeman, so I was expecting you to get out of there and be a cop. so, basically, my first impression was surprised. Was the I think will be the best word to describe your adventure with social media and stuff.
I have to admit that I'm not surprised that people around me, especially Sifu, he got surprised about the path that I took, especially kind of changed directions. And he wanted to know the answer to the question, like, why did I make this change from literally committing to becoming a police officer, getting a diploma, working as a cop? And now I have my own brand. I've coached like 70 plus students by doing personal training for martial arts, fitness, mindset training as well. And now I'm literally about to fucking travel to the fucking Asia, YouTube chill. But anyways, I guess I would answer this question with I realized at some point, like I got a clarity after speaking to my colleagues, my classmates, and seeing the teachers that were teaching those because they were former police officers.
Mm-hmm.
I always look at life like, who do I want to become? Sometimes I look at you. That's why I wanted to learn from you. And I realized I don't want to become like them. They seem to be struggling in life, like financially. They had PTSD after all this crazy stuff they've been seeing in their careers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not getting the right respect, the right type of respect after they retired. And I would say, even more importantly, which was all about legacy in my head, I saw in my school, and it's not to this college or police foundations, but I saw the mural with the fallen police officers who died during duty. And I was like, okay, if I die as a cop, is this everything I'm going to become? Just a name on the wall, and then nobody will keep talking about it? Because people move on in life, right? It's not the same type of legacy that maybe Genghis Khan or legacy or Alexander the Great or even George St. Pierre, the original fighters. So I decided if I want to control my life and control my legacy, I need to, like you mentioned back in the days, live by your own rules. So that's where I applied this and I decided, okay, instead of waiting until opening a martial arts school in the future until I have the right money, the right marketing strategies, why not just start now? The opportunity was great and I realized that, okay, once I graduate, I'll keep doing specifically the personal training aspect because that resonates with me. And whatever happens from there, I know I have full control over that. So that was that breaking point. And I never regretted that decision because college, at the end of the day, forced me to realize I can start now. Why wait? Because martial
Yes.
arts was what I wanted to do. So my question is, and that's what inspired me the most about you, and especially wanted to reach out again. You've coached hundreds of people over the years, but what separates the people who genuinely transform their lives from the people who stay stuck?
That's a very good question. I think the first answer to this is commitment. So when I first started martial arts, there's people that was doing it like twice a week, which is very okay depending on your schedule, the family, and stuff. And me, I decided to engage. When I say engage, I was doing it 6 times a week. So from the moment I set the goal that I wanted to open a school, I set the bar and my schedule in function to accomplish that. So it's not about how many times a week you do it, but if you dedicate to something, if you take that that commitment of twice a week and you just keep it for 10 years, that will make a big difference in your life.
Mm.
Okay. And also there's another part to this question that is very important is Sijo was always telling that same sentence. It was like when the student is ready, the teacher or the master will come to you. Okay, so sometimes there's people that will subscribe in the school, but they're not ready. They think they are, but they're not.
Mhm.
Okay, and this is for multiple reasons. It can be where you are in life. It can be about your family, stuff like that. And but you need to be ready to learn, but mostly to change, to apply the change to your life. And it's not something easy, even for me, even for you, even for disciplined people. It's not like the easiest of things. You need to sacrifice, and a lot of people nowadays, they don't want to sacrifice. One of the biggest complaint in martial arts school is that we always repeat the same thing. Yes, but to go to mastery, you need to repeat the same move, so you become very good at it. Okay,
Mhm.
of course there need to be a diversity, and sometimes we can change the context and applying the same technique, but at the end of the day, you really need to repeat and repeat and do that sacrifice for a long time to become good at something. That's my opinion.
That's deep, and guys who are watching right now might be actually struggling with what just Sifu described, and I would have to add a small asterisk on what you just said because I remember you taught me, especially when we were going over leadership lessons, because I was your assistant instructor for a
Mm-hmm.
couple of years before I even transitioned and even thought of becoming a coach myself. To be able to improve yourself and acquire the skills you want, especially when it comes to learning from somebody with higher authority, you need to be coachable
Mm-hmm.
10 out of 10.
Yes.
Always 10 out of 10. And sometimes you'll feel like the moods change. Sometimes you don't feel like learning. Sometimes you don't agree with what they have to say. But you need to realize at the end of the day, this person has what you want, which is another thing you told me. Like, does this person have what you want? And are you coachable and open minded? 10 out of 10. Those are the factors that will allow you to transform your life in whatever shape or form you want. So hopefully after you watch this, you're going to take examples from positive role models and see them as a person you can take something from, like information wise, and actually apply and be open to what they have to teach you.
And sometimes, just to add a little bit on that, it's yes, you need to be willing to receive the lesson, but changing after, it's another 10 on 10 that you need to have. Because if you have the willingness to learn, it's one thing, but you need to change after that. Let's say it's an habit. A lot of people are smoking. So, hey, it's not good to smoke. Yes, but you need to have that willingness to stop really smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's crazy. It reminds me of my dad who smokes a lot, but hey, still in shape. It's all
yeah.
good. At the end of the day. Hmm. And that's actually, yeah, that ties a lot to the next subject because what's interesting is that today we have more information than ever before. You can learn almost everything online,
Yeah.
yet many people still struggle to make real progress. So, my question is today people can learn almost everything online. Why do you still believe experience and mentorship matter?
Wow. It's very simple. It's YouTube. You're very far from the student, and every video YouTube about martial art lack context. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Is when you take a martial arts situation and the person do a specific move, sometimes it like the context where they got there. Okay, and what is he actually trying to do? Okay, and what I noticed from people that try to replicate those moves, they don't do it in the proper context, so it doesn't work. The second part of this is uh, one of the biggest problem in ancient martial art, but more the commercial ways, was the lack of sparring and grappling and real application. So every move you learn, you need to put resistance on it and try to get better at it. And your nervous system and sometimes I tell students about self-defense. I took a seminar of self-defense once. Now I can defend myself. Sometimes I do demonstration. I've been doing those moves for years and years, and sometimes you slip with the sweat, and the move doesn't exactly end up like how you want it to go. So, if with experienced teachers, sometimes they do mistakes.
Mm.
Imagine with people that you just rep once, 6 months ago, 2 years ago. So repetition is the mother of skills in anything, and you really need to have that sensibility with the opponent. And like I said before, like you need to see those techniques in different situations, understanding context, and yeah, I think that's why you need to be in a real school. Whatever the sport you're practicing, you need to be with real people practicing the stuff with resistance, and yeah,
Mhm.
I think that will be the answer.
Perhaps people who are sometimes watching videos, they don't have direct access to coaches. Maybe they live in a remote area. Maybe they don't live in a place where martial arts is very existent.
Yep.
But do you think easier access to information creates better martial artists in what shape or form?
Oh my god, good question. What I will say is yes and no. So like I said, you need to do the application. But at one point, let's say you do a technique this way, and then you see a video of a person doing a slight change or a variation of it that you never think of. It could be inspiring and going down a good road, but you need to have the maturity and understanding that the understanding that that slight change can also create another opening that you maybe didn't think of. Okay, so it's more in so I think yes, it can help. So personally, sometimes I watch a lot of reels like everyone, and sometimes I see stuff and oh, this won't work. This doesn't make sense for me because I understand that in that context, the other person could do this, and that. And on the other way, I said, oh, I never thought of that. That's interesting. That's a good way to get to that position. And so, yes and no. Okay. The problem with this is, I think you need to have a level of experience to be able to maybe understand the context and what is explained in the video. And I think sometimes the people that are watching this the most is the people that have less experience, let's say. Okay, so yeah, that will be my 2 cents on that.
I agree, totally agree. And specifically when you mentioned that because of the past experiences in your life that made you learn certain specific basics, when you're presenting with new information, obviously many factors are coming. Obviously, when Royce Gracie comes here and tells you about something, you're more likely to listen about what he has to say because
Of
it's
course.
Royce Gracie. But if it's something, I'm not shitting on Master Ken, but Master Kane, I don't know if he's going to beat Royce Gracie unless he stumps to the groin, you know.
Yes,
But
he may re-stump the groin.
yeah, might as well. And then I end up with a tiger claws to finish it
Yes,
off. But it's really important that with the information that we presented nowadays, that you need to look at the person or the source that gives you the information, and then based on your own judgment, because of your life experiences, you're able to dictate or predict whether it's the right type of information for you specifically, because
exactly.
you want to go yourself at the end of the day. And that actually brings us to the next part, which is the interesting thing is that information isn't the problem anymore. In some ways, we might actually have too much of it.
Yes.
So, my question is, why do you think authenticity is becoming harder to find today?
Well, simple. You're looking at social media and everything is about appearances. Okay, so for me, the answer is right there. So it amplifies something that was already there before. So when I was young, you watch movie, the girl need to be a cute, blue eye, blonde, that size, and that's not real life. Like real life is made of different women, different men, from different sizes, from different background, different ethnicity. So that's real life. So you need to live in a social environment that represent this. So I think there's a bigger sensibility about that in nowadays. So that's a good way forward. But now people, they only put you, you will never see someone on Instagram, I'm super depressed and I thought about suicide yesterday, and he won't tell you about that part, right? That part is hidden. And I think this is why the social media amplify what is already there. Okay, so usually, even if you go in a night in a party, you try to dress yourself up, you try to look your best. We always try to present ourselves to other people the best way we can. Okay, and it's a okay thing, but I think we always must keep in mind that we're not alone. A lot of people have different like issue in life, and you always need to be a good hero to those people. I think part of your job, like every instructor in martial art will relate to this, is sometimes we're a nutritionist, coach, doctor, like a psychotherapist. We have a lot of hats and we're not specialized in all of those area, but sometimes we feel like we that's our purpose, right? So the people come, they genuinely train, and sometimes they will tell you about their problems, and sometimes they will not, and but they will feel that the martial art helped them in their ways to get better. Sometimes it's just like getting that rage out, letting it all on the mats, and sometimes it's more about like talking, right? So you need to create an environment where people, if if their guard is down, if they feel bad, they need to be able to talk in the environment you have created in your school. I think it's very important. So uh, you can't save everyone, right? That's another part to this, but that's, I think, will make the school very genuine, right? So to be able to be in the moment. Sifu, my coach was talking about that at the training day. We have very hard time to be in the moment. So sometimes you're gonna come to the gym, and as you're punching the pads, you're doing your grocery list in your head. This need to stop. You need to have that ability to be able to just be in the focus pads or the grappling or be in the moment with your wife. And even me, I struggle with this. Like, I think phone capture our attention, the screens, and this is a hard thing. Like, not to give our attention to those screens. And like I said, even for me, it's a big challenge, and I really try to get better with this.
That's deep. And that just shows that the path of self development and self improvement is never ending.
Always have the white belt mentality. So even if you're a coach, I attained my black belt, and after the test, I felt like not that you don't deserve it, but that you know nothing. Because in that test, I've been exposed to so many other techniques and stuff, and you understand that the black belt is the beginning. So you have all the ingredients, and now you start to need to do recipes. Okay, so that's the way I see it. Also, back in the days, a lot of attention to belt. We're it's a good thing now we're moving a bit away from this, because most of good fighters now, sometimes they don't even have belt, right? Some train jiu-jitsu up to black belt, that's good, but I mean, sometimes there's no belt in the gym, right? It's just training, 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 and actually your skills will be the representation of what you are. So I think it's a good thing, because you need to train, and what is important is not the belt, it's the result. For whatever reason you do it, huh? Not only skills wise fighting, but if you come and you do everything like and you don't see change in your body and stuff, but maybe you should ask question about what intensity you put in your training. It's normal at the beginning that you go slow pace, but at one point you need to get better and better and better. And if you don't see this, well, talk with your coach what you can change to get better.
That's true. That's true. And that was a very important topic I was hoping you'd bring, because you mentioned, especially martial arts world, because I always say to my students who I taught that martial arts is one of the best ways to experience life in a very compact format, sometimes a bit more intense than usual, because sparring and just drilling and maybe the lessons that come after. But as you see, even the martial arts world changes from people focusing on belts to people literally just practicing, 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 and becoming better as a result. A lot of the changes happening in this world seem tied to how quickly technology and society are evolving. But you mentioned you're not sure you even want the world, let's say stuff like AI, is creating. What concerns you most about the direction we're heading as people?
I think it's something you experience as you get older, and I think every single generation did that. So I remember I could not watch movie like sci-fi with my dad, because he didn't understand what was going on. Okay, so he was older, so he didn't been exposed to sci-fi. You understand? So I think every generation thought his generation was better at something, and we always resist the evolution. Even sometime when you want to change something in your business, in your life, in your training, we always resist change. And I think this is the normal path. It's a normal process. I don't like it. Do I use ChatGPT sometimes? It's a bit scary, right? I think it's weird. The reason why I think is just that I don't like that people are all on their phone, and even me, I get my attention captured by that thing, and I think we are passing by the time we have with the people that we want to be with, right? With our loved ones and stuff like that, and that fucking thing that get sorry for the F words, but
YouTube chill. It's all good.
it's it captures your attention, and we lack focus, but we also lack spending quality time with the people around us. So we need to be careful with those things. Um, well, I think we already see the problem that we're facing with this. Like, there's an article that's talk about that, like some AI that will, I don't know how we call that, but they put the face of someone on somebody else's body, and they can do like stuff that are not nice to people. So also with the AI, um, from what I understand, because I'm really not a specialist, but it learned from somewhere and it gives you the result of what he learned. So what if at the basic the what he learned is wrong? Well, he's gonna spit something that is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So it already happened to students that that try to cheat, right? And but it's not true. It was not that year, but he got fed bad information because the AI at the end of the process it's bad. And yes, that I think resistance is normal. As you get older, you'll see this. There's new technology that's going to come in, and when you're going to be 40, 50, you're going to see, why is this there? We didn't need that.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and there's also like there's something about when you're young, you not everyone, but for me is you always relate to those days as the great days, right? You were a kid, you having fun, so you will always miss the old days. So you have kind of the blues about this, and moving away from this, the further away it moved from this, I think it affects everyone. So you would like to. It's the same when your children are growing, and sometimes your kids are saying stuff, or they get to an age, and you're. I just remember when you were a small baby, or you were that high, and we always feel like the blues of what was before, because you have a souvenir, you have emotion tied to those days, or the old days, as we say.
And that's actually super important because there's two things that came out of what you just said. And number one is, yeah, most likely in 30, 40 years from now, with the world that's evolving faster than ever, I feel like in the past few years, it's been evolving like crazy, very volatile. But I also see it as an opportunity to apply the martial arts skills into that specific change the world. Specifically, you have an opponent which changes styles. Maybe he learns new techniques that you're not aware about, and yes, it sucks. Maybe you get hit with whatever move that he has, but it is an opportunity to study him if you're backing away and you observe, right, with distance, and see how you can take from his style and apply it to yourself so you can beat him, or at least how can you use your specific style if you decide to stick to your guns to beat his style. So it's like an opportunity for adaptation, especially for business people who want to grow in life, relationships, business. You need to study what type of opponent you're having, right? You always told me first round, amateur debut. First round is going to be literally checking his reactions, kick his leg, how he reacts to feints, right? Not necessarily go blasting on him right away. We want to see what type of opponent we're having, especially since we don't have intel on him previously.
What I always tell you and still tell my student, it's usually the opponent that dictate the fight, not because he's better than you, because everything is a reaction, right? So you need to react with the other guy. So if you have a grappler, force of the thing is you're gonna grapple, right? You can say I'm gonna face a grappler and I will not go to the ground. If it's his specialty, will probably bring you there, right? So that's why, and yes, it applies to all sense of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the second part that you mentioned in the previous answer you gave me is that, yes, true, despite the world changing, despite you're trying to stay strong, stay positive in this world, and you're trying not to get affected by, let's say, AI, to depend too much on it or any information out there, people unfortunately will get affected by it. Some of them are not aware. So sometimes you'll be dealing with sometimes negative people or people who can hurt you because they got affected negatively by XYZ object or concept like AI. You've talked about having an asshole filter.
Yes.
What are some red flags you've learned to recognize early in people?
Well, there's a lot, but the main are people that always blaming others for what is happening. So usually, if you're not in shape, I've been through a lot of injury. I'm injured. I don't train the same, but it's my fault.
Mm.
It's not your fault, right? So people that are blaming others for everything, like that victim mentality, is something. And what I really don't like in nowadays, they try to glorify the victims, right? Like, it's okay, we need to listen to the victim, okay, but then we need to empower the victim to become not a victim anymore, okay. So I think this is very important, okay. We cannot amplify the feeling of victimization. We need to take matters in our own hand. But I understand also that when you live some hard stuff in life, there's a process. Okay, so you cannot ask that from someone who just lived some intense stuff. You were talking about PTSD, but PTSD is also something that a victim will have, right? So waking up in the morning and doing some action may take some a while, and you need to have maybe a special kind of therapy and um, like training to get back on his feet. But at one point, we must convert the victim to empowerment. I don't know how to say it better. So that will be one, like blaming others. The other one is be genuine. So what I mean by that is some people will be really flashy, talking talking a lot is I don't see it as a problem, but talking a lot about stuff or like what you have or I don't know, like trophies or stuff like that is a lack show a genuine sense of lack of confidence in yourself, because you need to have those trophy to validate yourself. So I, I don't think it's I think this is a red flag too. Like, just be who you are, be humble, and yeah, humility is very important. So you need to be competitive, but humility, like understanding when you did a mistake and be able to it ties up to the white belt mentality. So I did a mistake here, I always have problem, this guy is doing me trouble, what can I do better to get better in that specific area. So yeah, I think those are the criteria.
And that's
Maybe I
key.
forget some, but that
No,
would be.
those are actually very key ones because we do live in a victim world where people try to hide behind a badge or a name or a family name or a religion sometimes without actually taking accountability on the person itself. Sometimes people will hide behind some sort of, I don't know, badge or sticker, but ruin the reputation of the sticker. So that's why it's so bad.
But tying to that, it's also now people they all want they need to be in a group. Huh? They need. Yeah, I understand that. We do the same thing in martial arts school, right? We all proud to be part of that group or stuff like that. But it you must be hard time with that word, individual in that group. You must have personality and
Mm.
be a part of that group. It's not the group that it's making your personality. Okay, so let's say I cheer for the Montreal Canadian, right? Okay,
He does actually.
yes, I do. But the thing is, it doesn't become my personality. I'm a fan of this, but it's not all my life about the Montreal Canadian. It doesn't need to define your world, and because this is how cults are created, right? Because the cult is the only thing you don't have a personality. You remove yourself from being a good thinker, and you can say I like this group, but when the leaders say that sentence, I'm not 100% with this, and it's okay. Okay. What I do mean by that is you have your own. your own personality in the big group.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean? So don't let those. If you love, if you are someone who fight for whatever idea you have, don't let that idea become your personality, and understand that your idea can change. Okay, so when we're young, I remember my politic idea were really like my mind was it's like this when I was 17 years old. You see an injustice and you're like, this is how we must fix this. Okay, but you don't really have the experience of life. And then you have a discussion with another person. And when you're young, it's harder to change your mind. But after a couple of discussion, the orientation, it makes you think. And sometimes maybe you think the same thing, maybe you don't, or now you have also perspective on why the other person is thinking that way. And that's very important because sometimes somebody will tell you something, you'll be not in the same area or mind thinking about what you think, but you need to put yourself sometime in their shoes. So sometimes when you understand where they come from, where they lived, where they've been raised, who is his dad, who is his mom, uh, now it changed the context, right? So the context is different. So is there a reason why you think different than me? You follow me?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's amazing that you brought. Actually, you see, like I always try to relate the lessons you taught me in the past, and we related literally to this podcast and how it helped me and Samuel shape his life. And you taught me tie into this lesson. You don't know what you don't know, and that's one of the key reasons that it helped me as well because every time I was going out there applying the lessons you taught me, perhaps sometimes that specific lesson was the way maybe it was explained or the way that I was thinking it was not the right way to apply it sometimes. So
Mhm.
I had to maybe sometimes twitch the way I was thinking about this lesson or sometimes see how I can apply it to my life so that can fit the puzzle. And that's what's most important because we have a new generation and new generations create new types of problems for us to solve as coaches and that's what's cool about it. It's opportunities, but despite all these changes that people are having, especially in today's world, certain principles that we're teaching seem timeless. Like,
Of
it takes
course.
time to fucking get this fucking concept on point, like repetition after repetition. And if a young person from this generation walked into your gym today looking for confidence, discipline, and purpose, what would you want them to understand before they left?
Before they stop classes,
Before they stop classes.
understand to not stop classes. No, yeah. Usually, when we talk about confidence, why we say martial art and sports are a very, very um, important vehicles to help self confidence. It's really like one of the most fearful thing that you can think of is violence. If you think about it, okay? So getting yelled at, somebody's gonna beat you, somebody's gonna hit you. Um, so if you train in martial art, what's gonna happen is at one point you're gonna engage in grappling and sparring, and you're gonna understand the fighting way more. Okay? And if fighting is not an issue anymore, you're less afraid to walk into a place because you don't fear that violence anymore. Okay? It's not about wanting to do violence. It's not what I'm saying. It's just if it comes to that, I'm ready. I have tools. You understand? So I think about confidence, it's all that. You need to get the tools that you need. It's not only about martial arts, it's also about what's going on in your head. So those lessons that are taught through the vehicle of martial arts or different sports. Some young people accomplish this by playing hockey or other sports. But I think the martial art is the not the best one, but in my mind, it's the best one because it really talk about the violence that can happen to you. So let's say somebody is bullying you. After doing a couple of years of martial art, you may at one point say to that person, now you're gonna freaking stop. Why? Because you're not afraid of his violence anymore. You understand? If he overreact, if he decide to become violent, you're ready for it. And that's the big difference. Okay? So sometimes people think martial art will make their children more violent, but not really. Okay? It's about understanding what's going on in the situation of altercation. So I don't know if I answered correctly, but that's the way I see it. That's why martial art help people with confidence. I think the most fearful thing for somebody was it's engaging in violence. Okay, and once this become natural, it's better.
And that's actually great because as we're getting a bit closer to the end of the episode, it's important to understand, like, for context, guys, when I came to this school, I was like 17 years old. So I didn't know shit about life. This guy knew. As soon as I came in, I literally saw two guys taking down each other, slamming literally right here, right next to me. And I was like, oh, now that's an interesting vibe. And as soon as I came in, did my trial class, and Sifu right here told me you have a potential, not talent, potential, then unlocked something new in my life because never have I ever thought that I'll be able to achieve greatness, even though I'm still on the incline. But this person was able to, with a few words, to start a journey that I never thought will actually get started. And now, 25 years old, after teaching 70 plus students, after literally traveling to places where high net worth individuals are, using the same martial arts lessons that he taught me to create opportunities for myself indirectly. Because it's not always about violence, it's about being able to control that violence, stand your ground, knowing that you're capable, which is the key. It's not that you can kick his ass, but you're capable of doing XYZ. And that's what will allow you to free your mind, stand in front of the person, and kind of, let's say, get what you want because of the presence that you're giving to the person or to the people if you decide to, let's say, become a public speaker. And I guess we're coming to an end. And Sifu, I have a gift for you. This place started, well, I would say this place started a journey, as you know, and it shaped me to who I am today. Like, that was the beginning of something great. And since then, I haven't been competing as much, but I have went to like street beefs fights, 300,000 plus views from one fight, which is crazy. Competed in judo just to like get the experience in, and God knows what type of other competitions I'll be able to do in Southeast Asia. But I wanted to leave something. So this is a medal that I won in my recent judo competition. It's a silver medal. So if you guys are looking right here, and the more time passed, the more I understood that, like Mike Tessa said, this is just junk. What really matters is the lessons and the experience and what led you to achieving that. So every time you're looking at it, just like people be hiding behind a badge, this badge reminds you of what led you to achieving that. And I'm sure there's much, much more to come. You know, literally going to a public speaking awards event where I'll most likely get a public speaking award and whatnot. But I want you to have this medal so it hangs over there with the other belts as a reminder that some people come here for a season, they leave, but some people come in, learn quietly sometimes, apply the lessons in future lives, and then sometimes they come back to the roots to see where you've come from and where are we now? So
Yes.
I wanted to give you that.
Thank you very much. It's a nice one.
Yes.
There's a dragon on it.
Yes, it is. It's a beautiful one.
Yes.
So hang it there, enjoy it, and serve it as a reminder for students who are wanting to achieve greatness, and not just because of the medal, but because of the lessons and the experiences that it creates.
It's not about the medal, and it's not about the belt, even the one around your waist in martial art. It's about the journey. And that's what is the most important thing that my instructor, Joe, taught me. Okay? So it's about the journey, the experience, the people you're going to meet through martial arts and your adventure. So yeah, you got the lesson.
Yes, basically it did. So I'm looking forward to rewatch everything, and maybe I missed some key components that Sifu talked about, as I always do. Always be meticulous. Maybe there's some stuff that you don't know that was said, and you can still come back to and relearn. So guys, those who are watching, if you're in Montreal or South Shore of Montreal area specifically, that's where Sifu School is. It's Pat Note Martial Arts Sainte Catherine. That's where I trained. That's where I learned my few lessons. And fuck it, you're gonna see more of me in the future as I'm growing my brand. But this is where the journey started. So if you wish to achieve the greatest version of yourself in life, be it become an MMA champion, become an entrepreneur, apply the lessons you have, become good in relationships, become good in knowing who you are as a person, a place like that will shape your future to the best. So step in. What's the address of the school for those who are asking?
1078B Union Street in St. Catherine.
Yeah, I'll obviously post everything in the description. The links to the social media. You're on Facebook. You have a Facebook page. You have your Instagram page.
Yes.
So I'll post there the website. And if you get a free trial. Come in for a free trial. Sifu will get to get to know you, see what type of potential you might have
Of course.
in many aspects. And most importantly, don't give up, guys, because this episode.
Everyone has potential. One of the biggest lessons I learned as an instructor is never prejudge someone. Someone you think, oh, this person will do 2 weeks, and the next he's been doing 10 years. And you see a very athletic person coming in, and he's going to be the next George St. Pierre, and 2 weeks later, he's not in the club to ever be found again. Mm-hmm. So never prejudge anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure in the future, guys, I'll obviously stay in contact with Sifu because there are so many questions that I wanted to ask him, but we have such a small window. Mind you, after sparring sessions, we're spending 3-4 hours talking about life lessons, covering all types of topics, and that's where I got the most value. It's after these training sessions. Obviously, sometimes during, but a lot of them came after, behind closed doors. So obviously, keep in touch with you. If there's any questions that maybe my viewers have for you, I'll make sure to pass them to you. And make obviously referrals. Guys, fucking come here, train, get your ass whooped, because that's the type of whooping you want. Better than get whooped in jail because you did a fucking crime. You know what I mean? So yeah, Sifu, thank you very much for your time. It was a fucking great episode, and I always wanted this episode to happen. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.